Hi all, Michael here, Christ of England. Today I want to ask, where does Mohammed Zia Yusuf's loyalty lie? Is it with the UK or is it with Islam? And this is a very important subject because Reform had a good day at the polls the other day, and it was in some ways good to see a pushback against the establishment parties. But I do have some doubts about Reform, and one of my biggest doubts is the fact that they have Mohammed Zia Yusuf as the party chairman. And in fairness to him, every time I've seen him on the news, he's been quite a pretty impressive individual in terms of how he speaks. He says all the right things. But there's a couple of alarm bells. One of them is obviously the Rupert Lowe saga, where he appeared to accuse him of having dementia and threatening him with assault, which I very, very much doubt. It seemed he was acting a bit like a snake. And also, obviously, the main concern is the fact that he is a Muslim. And once you understand Islam, I've studied all the religions and I understand Islam in pretty good depth, and I'm born again of the Spirit, know the true Father, which gives me a slightly better insight. And what you need to understand about Islam, it is completely the opposite of British values, which is based on the teachings of Christ and Christianity. And this is my concern, is that if Reform is going to be the next ruling party of the country, then how can the chairman be a Muslim? And where does his loyalties lie? You know, if Nigel Farage dies or something happened to him, I'm not sure. Apparently he will become the Prime Minister, or could become the Prime Minister. And we need to understand, where does his loyalties lie? You know, does it lie with making Britain better? You know, ending illegal immigration, all the other stuff that we all know that needs to be done? Or does it lie with Islam? Because you can't really fight for British values and Muslim values. You know, I would like to know from Mohammed Zia Yusuf, are you a true Muslim or not? And do you believe in the teachings of the Quran? Because if you believe in the teachings of the Quran, you have to believe that Jews and Christians are worst of creatures. So how can the leader of Britain, a Christian country, believe that Christians are the worst of creatures? And also, all the native British people are disbelievers of Islam. And in Islam, they're taught that, you know, the disbelievers are the enemy. They're scumbags who are going to eternity in hell. And that you're supposed to fight against the disbelievers and never trust the disbelievers. So how can someone who believes that lead the British people? We also have, I'd like to know, do you follow the Prophet Muhammad? The Prophet Muhammad married a 6-year-old child, consummated the marriage when she was 9. Is this your example for all of humanity? Muslims today justify marrying and abusing young girls because they say, well, our prophet did it. He married a 6-year-old. Why can't we? And he's the perfect prophet for all time. So this is why Iraq, they're using his example to justify putting the age of marriage down to 6 years old. Where in our society now, we understand that's a very sick, dangerous ideology. So do you follow Prophet Muhammad? Is he your prophet? You know, we need to know that, because if he is, then it's completely the opposite of British values. And there's many other things that I could go on to about how Islam is complete opposite. You know, we believe in women's rights. Islam believes, you know, chucking in the burqa and no rights. UK, we believe in, you know, all people are children of God, and that everyone's is lost in the sinful world. But like, for example, homosexuals, okay, we don't want to promote it, but we still love them, and we don't want to chuck them off buildings or persecute them or, you know, treat them overly rough, as in Islam they do. You know, they don't like homosexuality and all that stuff in Islam. And do you believe that apostates, all the people who have left Islam and who have found safety and solace in the UK, do you believe that they should be treated as apostates and punished as such? You know, there's so many questions that need to be asked. So, as I say, when I've seen you speak, or when I've seen Mohammed Zia Yusuf speak, he speaks well. But are you being a little snake in the grass? We need to know. And I think the British people deserve to know, are you a Muslim or not? And what is your explanation as to how the Islamic ideology and values is completely opposite of British values? And you need to make a decision. Are you following Islam or are you following British values? If you're following British values and you genuinely are going to go along with it, then to be honest, I don't really have much of a problem, because as I say, you speak well, and I wouldn't have too much of a problem. I do, obviously, the Rip Low stuff, maybe we'll keep that slightly separate. I don't trust you on that. But we need to know what's going on. And the British people deserve to know what's going on. And Nigel Farage needs to wake up. And Nigel Farage is out there going, we need to accept Islam is going to grow in the country and all this stuff. But no, Islam needs banning in the same way that Muslim countries don't allow the proselytizing and the spread of Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. And I respect their view. I respect their right to do that. And we should treat them as they treat us. So we should ban the proselytizing of Islam. We should ban the spread of Islam. We should ban Muslims from any positions of power. That's exactly what Muslim countries do to the rest of the world. And I would go a step further, and I would actually ban the religion itself, because I believe it's a threat and they actively see us as enemies. In Christianity and all other religions, they may say that we're the chosen believers, but it doesn't tell you. Like Jesus Christ didn't tell his followers to persecute his enemies. He told them to love their enemies, where Muhammad said, go and fight your enemies. And that's why we have to ban Islam, in my opinion. That's what I believe we should do. But that's pretty much the point of my video today. What's going on with Mohammed Zia Yusuf? We need to know the truth, and we deserve the truth. Nigel Farage, all the reform people, push for the truth. We need to know what's going on, because this country doesn't belong to Islam. It belongs to Christ. I've set up the Christ of England to push back and be the spirit of the nation. Not the Church of England, the blind fools, the blind leading the blind, the Christ of England. Men and women of Christ leading the people towards Christ. Okay, point of my video today, share it with as many people as you can. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you're new, and we're just getting started. Let's get this movement going. Christ of England. All the money received is all towards the movement. This isn't some grift to self-enrich myself. It's to fight for Britain and British people with the power of Christ and the Father. God bless everybody. Goodbye.